Could Dr. Bawumia be telling us what is captured in the Professor Michael Kwe report? Because that report has still not been made public, has it?
Sure. But I'm sure it's been made private. Yeah, so prior to the public consumption, there must be some private communication. And no less a person than our flag bearer, the former vice president, and should be the principal person to receive that document, even though it's not made for public consumption. So I would believe that he's speaking to the document. And I think what Ghanaians value across all political parties is honesty. There's something about integrity that resonates very well with Ghanaians. You see what happened when we looked at the figures, the incoming results, and the vice president, former vice president, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, came out ahead of time, ahead of convention across all other political jurisdictions. I'm talking whether in Africa or outside, and conceded ahead of time. That, I believe, will be a currency that will stand him in good stead, inshallah, in years to come, in 2028, God willing. So honesty and integrity are strong currencies. So when the vice president mentions that the E-levy, high cost of living, the domestic debt,
the
DDP, okay, arrogance of power, that kind of integrity resonates well. And all you have to do is look at NPP WhatsApp platforms post the election to see that what he's saying is mirroring what we in the NPP are saying on our platforms. Go to 2016 when NDC lost. Visit their platforms and they'll tell you why they lost. They talked about corruption, arrogance, you know, even former President Rawlings said that the writing was on the wall. I'm talking the NDC lost in 2016 because of arrogance and corruption and what have you. So this, where others say that the vice president is being duplicitous, is somehow extricating himself from the reasons why we lost, no, he's speaking to a document. And I think that is what is needed. You have on the DDEP 800,000 bondholders. Now, when the haircut happened, of course, definitely it's going to have a compound effect. It's not just 800,000 bondholders, it's them and their families.
Right.
The E-levy, again, that was something that shouldn't have been done, but it was done. And Dr. Bawumia was saying that, you know, we did not listen to the party and the nation at large. You have 16 million people or so who subscribe to mobile money platforms. And that thing was just, I think, a lack of creativity on our part. You need revenue, but there are ways and means in which you can engineer revenue for tax. Am I right? I've mentioned it on this program before. We have over 15,000 JHS and SHS schools in Ghana. A figure of around 1.8 million or 2 million students are in government schools. All you need to do is to create a platform where the curriculum allows for field visits to all the tourist spots in Ghana. Okay? And you can, per my calculation, if everybody's paying 30 cities or so, I don't want to veer off the subject here, there are ways in which government can create activity and tax that activity. I met with Honorable Tekpe. I'm starting on the E-levy, which Dr. Bawumia has cited as one of the reasons. When it was passed, I met Honorable Tekpe, former Minister of Finance, about 3 or 4 months thereafter, at the airport Shell. We were both buying fuel. He saw me, I said hi back. And he said, Ibrahim, why have you guys passed this? I looked at him saying, I agree. Again, I will say this. I like that those who wish to confirm what I'm submitting, if you're close to Dr. Tekpe, call him. And he said, Ibrahim, what you people should have done, this after the E-levy was passed in 2022, just rather tax the telcos.
Right.
Remember the communication service tax? That CST that President Akufo introduced. That was, who was complaining? Was it not MTN, Tigo at the time? Zain, I think, was still in operation. okay, and Vodafone. Am I right?
Yeah.
They were the ones who were complaining. Because, and of course, we also complained, but minimally. But you want to tax, don't tax the grassroots, because who are the main users of mobile money? It's those who don't have that financial inclusivity, who are not having that disposable income, the majority. And we went ahead to tax that thing.
Right.
And so Setakwe said, why did we do that? We should have rather taxed the telcos.
Companies.
And what you do politically, it ring fences you. It somehow shields you, I'm talking government, from the tax, should they decide to pass the tax on.
Right.
But that was something that shouldn't have been done. And then again, the high cost of living, was a case in point. You have to find ways in which to manage it. Government can't do all, but certain policies can either make the matter worse instead of alleviating the cost of inflation and what have you. These are some of the things that we should have done rather than taxing, because we came on an agenda to remove nuisance taxes. And to a large extent we did it, but then again, we reverted to the old playbook.
Right.
Then the arrogance of power. And this is something where former President Akufo-Addo should take the large share of the blame. We saw those incidences when you had the Aflao chief, mentioning that government should complete the E block within his jurisdiction. Am I right?
Yeah.
Then you had President Akufo-Addo on Kwame Sefakai's program. Yeah, Kokoroko, am I right?
Yeah.
And he was directly saying, who is the chief to dictate to me? You don't do that. President Akufo-Addo is a mature politician, and he should know not to do that. Then you have the incidents where he visited some chiefs and telling them, sorry, Nyetashi.
Yeah.
You don't do that. Article 63C of the, the chieftaincy component of the Constitution says anybody without due authority who interferes in chieftaincy matters or brings some form of disrespect can be sanctioned. Because you were president, somehow you were immune, you had that immunity. But you don't do that. When you meet a chief, regardless that you are president for that time, show due record and reverence for those institutions.
Ibrahim, these issues we know, and same as espoused by Dr. Bawumia. But the question here, or what argument is out there, is that he was not a bystander.
Yeah.
He was a key architect in these policies that he's turned around to criticize today. So what image is he putting out there?
But I just mentioned to you earlier, I'm going to answer your question directly. Yes, he's a key architect. He was a vice president and the flag bearer.
Yeah.
But vice president, together with all the powers that you have, head of the economic management team, okay, the EMT. Before I come to that, you have to understand that he's speaking to a document, as I believe. Should he say because I was a key player, I should not communicate the reasons why we lost? I'll
on the honesty and integrity bets that you've put out
so
there,
now you're
perhaps
saying,
he should take responsibility first.
Yes.
And then that's accountability.
Sure. On that one, you have that right. Not I say you, but the conversation lends itself to that. To say, yes, I was part of this administration, and what we did in terms of A, B, and C, we could have done better. So on there, I would agree with you. But generally, he is speaking to something that we in the MPP have been saying across the platforms for the last 5 or so months, post the elections. So in terms of you saying, yes, he's never said that I was not responsible. But I take your point, that you can at least say that, given my role, I too take a share in the blame on that. But there's something, I remember when we went to Move and Pick, I was there. When Vice President Bawumia was outdooring his campaign, launching of his campaign, and he was explaining why he would, as president, then cancel the E-levy. And so the question was asked him, why do you want to cancel the E-levy? And he mentioned that that decision came about as a consensus within cabinet. And in cabinet, you go with a consensus. So you take the assets, but you also take the liabilities. Though he personally was against the introduction of the E-levy, it's a team, and you go with the team.
Right.
And that happens in every administration. President Mahama will tell you that between 2012 and 2016, there are some policies that he personally was not in favor of. But as president, you are part of the cabinet, and you go with the consensus there. Okay? So that one, I agree with you on that one. Again, I just want to touch on this. I know we'll come back and forth.
I go.
But the lack of reshuffles. Again, I go back to President Akufo-Addo on this one there. When you ask people why we lost the election, generally, ask NDC or MPP, and you can do a vox pop on your program. They won't mention Bawumia's name. It's Akufo-Addo's name they mention. Ask any NDC person, why did we lose? I'm talking, an NDC person, it'll say, because of Akufo-Addo.
Yeah.
You can count on your finger how many people mention Bawumia's name. Then come to MPP, why we lost. And they constantly mention Akufo-Addo's name. Why could you not reshuffle during these 8 years? We say we have the men and the women, but you kept the same people.
But there was one reshuffle within the period.
Who?
I think he reshuffled a number of people. Who? Some didn't even get passed by Parliament.
Who?
There. Oh, there was we know that Fmr.Dep for one did not come back. Napo was moved from education to power.
Sure, yeah.
To energy.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a few that went
Good.
round.
But then you can look at the volume of ministers and deputy ministers. Then you come to MMDCs and DCs. I believe that Ghana has a strong talent of skilled personnel within the NDC and MPP.
Or was it just party folk waiting to be rewarded?
I'm just saying that it helps to somehow create a diversity of thinking. Unfortunately, incumbency, and when I say incumbency, you're a DC, you're an MC, you're a minister. It can create a sense of lethargy. It can create, for some people, it atrophies the mind. When you have new, fresh thinking, it changes the dynamics.
Very well.
And Akufo-Addo, President Akufo-Addo's failure to do that, because you had 121 MPs saying change can Ofori-Atta.
Right.
But your somehow unalloyed loyalty, because Ken Ofori-Atta has bankrolled your campaigns, and we thank Ken for that, for his service. But when things aren't going well, you change.
Right.
Just like in football,
right.
You can be Mo Salah, but if we see you're not delivering, we change you.
Change you.
And that's the failure of Akufo-Addo.
Right. I'll come back to you. Elvis.